Support Ground Zero and everything we do.
My Patriot Supply is America's leading emergency preparedness company and believe it's every person's patriotic duty to achieve true freedom from our world's increasingly unreliable and fragile systems. The best way to do this is to invest in your personal liberty because you can't rely on governments or corporations for the basics of life. Act now and secure at least a 4-week emergency food kit full of tasty meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. They have dozens of emergency food storage kits to choose from, along with a variety of survival products. Despite these difficult times, My Patriot Supply has kept their commitment to you with well-stocked emergency supplies. They will deliver them quickly and discreetly with friendly 24/7 customer service. Stay alert and prepared, friends. Let everyone else take tomorrow for granted. Go to preparewithgroundzero.com. That's preparewithgroundzero.com.
Do you want to know why your inalienable rights are so vital in these uncertain times? Check out the Unsuppressed podcast on aftermath.media. Join Wes, Bill, Patrick, and Avery as they discuss the fundamentals of urban and wilderness survival, disaster preparedness, gear discussions, and so much more. Check it out with your premium Aftermath subscription, and make sure you stay unsuppressed.
If you're looking for a thought-provoking multimedia platform about current events, trending news, pop culture, conspiracies, and the paranormal, you need to sign up for Ground Zero's exclusive digital playground, aftermath.media. Their website includes years of archived shows and podcasts from Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis and The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. You'll have access to over 200 documentaries and movies from some of the greatest minds in the last 50 years in their video section. In addition, you can watch live video stream of Ground Zero. Also, there's monthly chats with Clyde along with intriguing and educational webinars. Each subscription includes tech support, RSS feeds, a chat room, and social media channel. Be sure to check out their yearly specials for basic and premium memberships. So sign up today at aftermath.media. That's aftermath.media.
Hello, fellow Americans. I'm Alan Johnson, representing Freedom Gold USA. Today, I want to talk to you about something that's been on the minds of many conservative Americans: inflation and the looming threat of central bank digital currencies. Inflation is eroding your purchasing power, and if you don't take action, it's your savings, your retirement, and your children's future that will pay the price. But here's the kicker. The government is pushing forward with central bank digital currencies, giving them unprecedented control over your money. They can track every cent that you spend and potentially limit your financial freedom. At Freedom Gold USA, we believe in preserving your financial independence. So don't wait any longer. Protect your wealth with physical gold. Visit our website at freedomgoldusa.com or call us today at 1-888-411-1845. And together, we'll safeguard the American dream.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites, my fellow slaves of the global plantation. The Vinny Eastwood Show is bad news. It's like the news, but so much worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Vinny Eastwood Show. Solving New Zealand's problems and the world. It seems like a very big task for a We Talk radio show host from New Zealand to really kind of give to you. But let's start off and put some context into this. Every government has problems. Inherently, the problem is that they are a government from the Latin governe, meaning control, and mente, meaning the mind control. So the reason why we've got problems in our nations is because they've got a government. Okay, you're under mind control. It's pure and simple, just like that. So the question becomes not how many different problems are being caused by these mechanisms. The question becomes, what's the simplest mechanism by which we can stop that process from happening? And some people would go, oh, we need to have a violent revolution, oh, we need to just vote the right way, or oh, we need to have some kind of Bitcoin revolution. Throughout history, there have been many, many attempts at changing what a government does. And the only time they've ever been successful, whether or not they're trying to achieve a good thing or a bad thing, is three main factors. These are called the three keys to power. They were successful in taking control of their government and repurposing it for their needs, regardless of whether or not they were good or evil, by having the police on their side, the military on their side, and having the people with money to pay them to continue to be on their side. Right? That's it. It's actually quite simple. Have a look at the police budget, have a look at the military budget. You're wanting to stop your government from being out of control? The government can't enforce anything unless they've got people to enforce it, and those people won't enforce it unless they're being paid. Okay? This is not a hearts and minds thing. It's a dollars and cents thing. If you are looking at the aspects that are going on around the world with police brutality and violence or military invasions and things of that nature, those people are doing it because they're being paid. Hold on 1 second. There's very, very loud stuff in the background here. I've just got to close a few doors here. I'll be right back after these messages from Ground Zero Radio, folks. 1 moment, please.
Attention all Ground Zero radio fans. GroundZeroMerch.com is your one-stop shop for all things Ground Zero.
Oh, wow.
Show off your style with our exclusive collection of t-shirts and hoodies. They're not just comfortable, they're conversation starters. Need to keep hydrated during those long listen sessions? Get your hands on our durable water bottles. And now introducing our latest editions, a hand-picked selection of intriguing books that will keep your mind buzzing. GroundZeroMerch.com. Support Ground Zero and everything we do.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vinny Eastwood Show. So, as I was saying, these factors that are coming into play that are making the world a crazy kind of a strange place are quite simple. Just the police, just the military, and the financiers to pay them. In New Zealand's case, it's $2 billion a pop. All right, $2 billion for the police budget annually, and $2 billion for the. You'll have to forgive me again. So many crazy things are happening when you're a new father, guys. I got to tell you. I'm sorry. I'll be right back in just 1 second. And we're back. Sorry, guys. Man, very hard to get into a show here today. Okay, all right. So let's sum up. If you've got money to pay your police and your military to take back control of your country and what have you. That's basically all you need in order to have control of the country, right? And that's the only thing that will work as well. So let's stop wasting our time here. There are so many people who've come up with so many quote-unquote solutions that'll work on this. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but at the end of the day, we're talking about nuts and bolts here. We're not talking about apples and oranges. We're talking about chess here. We're not talking about checkers. If you want to take the country back, it's pure and simple. Let's raise the money, pay the police, pay the military. They'll do what we want. Okay? Now, unfortunately, most of the people who have the money to do this are in a bind, because it's not just being able to pay these people to be able to do this job that you've got to really be thinking about. It's what kind of countermeasures the current establishment has against you. Now, do the right thing and think about the consequences afterwards is what David Icke said, and that's one of the reasons why I got arrested and spent 28 months going through court and have, I think, been permanently psychologically damaged by it. But I digress. The idea here is if you're doing some kind of political representation in a country like New Zealand, or even in the United States for that matter, they've got Green parties, Ralph Nader, etc., etc. They don't have the money behind them to do this kind of thing, principally because the people who do have the money, who are good, aren't probably that stupid. And they're investor class, all right? Investors look at you. Like, for example, look at Vinny Eastwood right now. Is he wearing a suit? No, he's not. Is he working in a incredibly professional manner with all these slides and all this produced stuff coming up behind him and all these points to illustrate on the daily news cycle? No, he's not. Investor goes, nah, we're not interested, okay? They have this particular mode that they're looking for. And if you're an artist, that's a very difficult mode to get yourself into. That's why a lot of these people in Hollywood and the entertainment industry are often very depressed or drug addicted or going through enormous personal and social problems and things of that nature, because to be in that professional arc as an artist is a kind of counterpoint to your existence. Really. At the end of the day, and I know that there's a lot of artists who listen to this show, you have to subdue who you are and what you really want to do in order just so that you can make some money, right? And I understand that. We all do things that we don't want to necessarily do or wouldn't necessarily do for free, just because there's a bit of bread in it for us. All right? And is there something wrong with that? Maybe there is. Maybe we're all compromised. Maybe we're all indoctrinated in a system that has coerced these forms of conformity out of the artistic community, that have constrained expression and the nature of time. When we think about time as a construct, it just is what it is. It's only really one moment that's ever been. It's this moment, right here, you and me talking and listening. This is the only moment that's ever really existed. But that moment has stretched throughout all eternity. It was there when the universe begun, and it'll be there when the universe ends. Okay? We have something special that we've got here in terms of time. You could be in a rush. It says that only fools rush. And fools rush in. So on and so forth. People don't take the time. They haven't got the patience. And this was also personified, I believe, in The Matrix Part 2, Reloaded, where they're having a conversation with the Merovingian, and he just wants to talk to them, and they say, we don't have time for this. And he says, yes, who has time? But if you do not take time, how can you really have it? Now, in Star Wars, they talked about, I feel something bad about this mission, Master. And he goes, don't draw on your anxieties, Obi-Wan. Keep your attention and your focus here and now where it belongs. And he retorts, yeah, but Master Yoda said I should be mindful of the future. And he says, but not at the expense of the moment. Be mindful of the living force, young Padawan. So this concept here that we're trying to flesh out in terms of how you're going to solve your country's problems, how are we effectively spending our time? And I am no saint in this. I'm just relaying a few ideas that I've heard that I'm trying to work on myself here. Don't consider me an authority. However, in the time that I've been doing this 16 years, I've created 6,500 videos plus. Okay? So maybe I have something to teach you about adequate time management and where you put your focus. So we have these objectives. It's to stop government from being abusive, or stop government from existing. And each of us has, in our own way, little unique abilities and capacities to do something about this. A lot of people will throw their hands up in the air and go, oh, what can I do about it? Just actually really think about it. What can you do? You can do nothing, and nothing's got a consequence, just like doing something does. So, how many ways is the government and the New World Order, or the quote-unquote New World Order, doing you sideways in the ribs for this? Okay? Probably infinite ways. I think maybe if you look in any direction around you right now, you'll see you're using their technology, which is dirty and dangerous and addictive, and you're using their parts, which are manufactured and toxic and can't be recycled and things of that nature. You know, we're surrounded on all sides at all times by the presence of this agenda, and predominantly Agenda 21. And Rosa Corey told me from the book Behind the Green Mask that Agenda 21 is the conspiracy. All right, you don't need to worry about reptilians or flying saucers or Knights of Malta or the Bilderberg Group or any of these other organizations which may or may not comprise the entire threat, or may not be 100% real, or may not be what they appear to be. The concept here is, how do you break a large problem down into smaller bite-sized chunks? Okay, because it's about the macrocosm, all right, the microcosm. So everything's a smaller or larger version of something else, really. And all actions that you take have a ripple effect. And each of those ripples come out and they affect other people, who then give off their own ripples that affect others. So each action that you do with your day, each word that you decide to spill forth from your mouth, may have an effect that helps the overall whole of the argument. If you're talking about a conspiring group of child trafficking Satanists, where are they, who are they, and things of that nature. This doesn't seem to matter quite so much as the concept of how do you increase public awareness about this, because you would have conversations with people and they don't know what you're talking about, and subsequently you don't really want to talk to them, and they definitely don't want to talk to you, so you get really depressed about the fact that you know what's going on, other people don't, you know that it's incredibly important, and other people don't want to know. People don't want to know what's important. So get over it. That just is what it is. You ever heard of the Pareto distribution, 80-20 rule? Okay, you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. 20% of people do 80% of the work. You see? It's 20% of your garden grows 80% of your vegetables. It's a known ratio. It's freaking in everything. What that means is that 80% of people are probably not worth your time. Okay? 80% of people are probably not worth your time. That means you can be, quote unquote, a dick to some people or dismissive to some people, right? Or is that going to send out negative ripples there? You see? Some people just waste your time. Some people are whinging complainers who gossip and don't talk about anything that really matters because they've got too much of their own problems going on to really focus on solving a problem or creating a solution in the first place. It's all about the mechanics, and it usually comes down to collaboration. Who do you know? Who do you know? Who are your friends? Who are your family? What are their skill sets? What if you went to them and said, "Hey, bro, I want to build this." You know, it could be a solar oven or something like that. Man, my listeners are just, you know, you can see why people think that they're crazy because they come up with the craziest stuff, man. And you know how it has two different terms? Crazy? Oh, man, that was crazy. You see, it's all in how you say it. It's all in how you think about it. Man, we do some crazy things, don't we? All right, some really, really cool things that a lot of people have no idea was even possible until somebody used their time to will that idea into the three-dimensional universe. Speaking of people who have been lured into the three-dimensional universe, we've got Benny Mac in the chat room here, who I haven't seen in the chat room for some time. Glad to see you here, Benny. And as always, we've got the lovely and the flawlessly sexy DK Spiracy and Luna Longshadow, Debbie Lacey. Guys, yeah, thank you so much. These are the stalwart Vinny Eastwood show fans, and I love them very much because they're always there. There's just love you guys so much. And for those of you who haven't, and thank you, Benny, for reminding me to beg. The Vinny Eastwood Show is a listener-supported broadcast, so please go to thevinnyeastwoodshow.com. That's Vinny with a Y because it's the most important question, and Eastwood, like, go ahead, make my news. And if you scroll down on the homepage, you'll see the Kiwi Bank, Patreon, and PayPal, which you can donate regularly. $5 a week, $10 a month, whatever it is that you can spare to the Vinny Eastwood Show. If you're able to chuck us a few hundred or a few thousand or whatever it is, it'll be the right time that we receive it. It'll be like, it's happened a number of times. I remember I think the clearest memory is in 2012 when I had bills just come in and I had to pay the internet, the power, and the rent all on one day. And that was like $500. Getting up in the morning and to do a show. Used to do five shows a week back at that time on American Freedom Radio in my youth. And I didn't have $500. So I went to my PayPal, and what was there? Not $500. 500 euros from a lovely man named Gert in Germany. It's just, wow. Right then, right there, this is how the universe works. Whatever Vinny Eastwood needs at that particular moment, right there at that moment, I could stress about it. I could have stressed for a long time over 28 months of freaking prison. And maybe there was some kind of residual stress there, but every day you do something to try and generate some positive ripples out there, really, and when you need it, whatever you need comes back to you. So whatever you're feeling like giving to the Vinny Eastwood Show, ladies and gentlemen, you go ahead and you just go and do it. Speaking of which, I have some lovely sponsors as well, holdenhealthcare.com, and I believe I'm just going to get that visual up here for the video listeners, and like to welcome Cluey01, first time chatter on the Twitch stream. Says he's thinking of the people that are losing or lost their empathy and compassion after a recent medical procedure over the last couple of years, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, holdenhealthcare.com, emphasis on the care. What a great guy David Holden is. We're going to be doing a biohacking seminar that's going to be coming up if you're in the area in Oratia, reasonably soon, I believe as soon as early March. So that's going to be good. And he's a naturopathic biochemist. So what happens is you go to the medical system and they say, oh, there's something wrong with you. Oh, you're going to die. And you go, oh, my goodness. That doesn't sound like a really good idea to go around people who are saying, I'm going to die, and just give me pills that help hasten it away. Why don't I go somebody who knows something, anything about nutrition or exercise or lifestyle? and ask them what they think about it, and they go, oh yeah, well, you just need this and this and this, and you're deficient in that and that and that, and you just keep doing this for such and such a time, and blah 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 blah. Everything starts reversing. Pretty straightforward. The tool is a remarkable beast, and if you give it the tools to heal itself, it'll work. So go to holdenhealthcare.com if you want to get some fantastic naturopathic care. And speaking of which, reopen.nz, my other sponsor, and it is a directory of anti-mandate, pro-choice, all-inclusive businesses in New Zealand. And when I started advertising this, I think there might have been half a dozen or maybe a couple of dozen of them on there. But now you can just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and there are so many incredible businesses from all over the country across the fields of services and that kind of thing, that it's just absolutely extraordinary. And I'd like to hope that many of these people are listeners to the Vinny Eastwood Show. I definitely know that a couple of them signed up after being guests on this show. So it's such an incredible work there, getting all these people from all around the country with all these different skills and disciplines to put their name on reopen.nz, a collection of anti-mandate, pro-choice, all-inclusive businesses in New Zealand. Go there and add your freedom business to Dizzle. Now, speaking of to Dizzle, all right, so empathy. All right, so somebody brought up empathy, the lack thereof. Now, did you know, you got to have a look at the Mayo Clinic's little presentation on this. I think you can find it on YouTube there, that cell phone usage, excessive cell phone usage, reduces empathy and compassion. Okay, you're on there on the social media with your friends and things like that, but because there's no human contact, human physical feedback, and 90% of what we say is non-verbal. All right, it is not the words you use, it's the tones you use, the body language you use, and so on and so forth that makes up your full communicative scape. So when you're writing to people and texting in brevity form, the basic responses of your brain that are associated with socializing and feeling and things of that nature, they're not actually working. Okay, could you imagine somebody who's played, I don't know, who's the top first-person shooter video gamer in the world or something like that? You just imagine for a moment the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of sitting in front of a computer or an Xbox or a PlayStation 2 that this person must have spent in order to get that good at it. Now, think about the thousands of hours that, say, somebody like me has spent in conversations with some of the wisest and most interesting and most highly persecuted minds in the developed world, all right? And the skills associated with practice and how much better you get at it, right? It's all where you put your focus on, all where you want to do. I think, what's his name, Steve from the former New Zealand Tattoo Museum, he came up here for our party and hitchhiked from Wellington to get here. He's just like, oh, bugger it, I'm just coming. Wow. And then I asked him if he would draw something or engrave something on my post outside. It's just on the deck kind of thing, so it's the first thing you see and the last thing you see when you come outside onto the deck. Yes, I've got a very large deck. Now, he drew up a huge amount of artwork on it, and now I'm engraving it in there, carving it into the wood with a little mini engraver. It only works about, I don't know, hour or 2 hours tops at a time, so it's really hard work, and it's very slow going, but there's time that's associated with trying to do that. What am I actually trying to accomplish? Am I trying to create a beautiful space at my home just with the sweat of my brow? No money involved here, just a mate came round and helped me out with his artwork, and now I'm engraving it. So yeah, there's so much things that you can do with your time if people are willing to collaborate. Okay, because generally speaking, your skills, you're good by yourself, but you're much better when you're working with somebody else, not necessarily for somebody else, but with somebody else. So if there's no money being exchanged, but both of you are creating something that neither of you could create on your own, and it's good and you like it, whether it's music or a new kind of barbecue table that you're putting together with the boys, or you're turning frickin' crates into furniture, whatever the hell it is that you creative people do out there. It's fricking extraordinary what you guys spend your time on. And Rebecca was telling me yesterday about boredom and how important boredom is. Like, imagine if you didn't have any YouTube or any movies or any video games or any music or something like that. You had nothing that you could watch or listen to while you're sitting around doing nothing to entertain your mind. How radically different your day would be. How much motivation you would have to get up off your ass and build something. Just 'cause I'm bored. I'd rather do this. And I can't do that. So, what a radical concept. And I think it's what she said really kind of resonated with me, because I've been injured of late. I can almost turn my neck all the way to the left now after 2 days of trying to heal up. Man, it's a pain in the neck, quite literally. And I noticed that while I was injured and not really able to do much, how much my partner was having to do in the meantime, and how grateful I am for that I've had that time to recover. And so then you have to pay it back, kind of thing, because we're not infinite resources of energy and power at the end of the day. We have a empty indicator on our fuel gauge, as it were. And when people get to that empty point, and I'm sure a lot of you in the last 5 years, I think it was, we went through 5 years of crap all the way from 2019 until the end of last year, have just been shockingly difficult for me to deal with. Lost everything, lost your sources of income, lost your freedom for a period of time there, lost your band, left your missus, and barely get to see your kid now, and all of these really terrible things that individually, if they happen, they're pretty traumatic. They're quite difficult, but I had to go through them all simultaneously and consecutively. And now, in 2024, all of that stuff is just like sorted reasonably well. Sorry for accidentally doing the 666 symbol. Maybe I should just do a thumbs up instead. But anyway, the suffering that you go through life and everything, it's not forever. Okay, you have to deal with it one day at a time. And if you're a conspiracy theorist like me, and by the way, conspiracy theorist means a person who absolutely believes that powerful people who have a lot of influence use their power to maintain and grow that influence. Okay? If you're a conspiracy theorist like me, suffering and frustration and difficulty is something that you never really get used to. It just happens all the time, and it pisses you off, and it makes you angry, and it makes you withdraw from society and sort of retreat inwards, and just watching and listening to things that you already agree with so that you don't feel quite so alone, because all the people in your life that you could talk to about any of this kind of stuff think that you're nuts for even so much as bringing it up. Why are you spending time trying to talk to these people, and why are you spending time listening to more and more information when the information's already in your head? The question is, what can you do about it? I'd like to hear some suggestions, because we're trying to make $4 billion here in New Zealand here. Go to the VinnyEastwoodShow.com, hashtag bribe the police and military. So if you have this goal in mind, how do you freaking set that up, man? It's a difficult one because it's all individual and nobody can really tell you how to do it. I mean, take a look at DK-spiracy, for example, just as an example to us all, really. He's the dude who, I was like the first person to do all the multimedia kind of platforms and things like that, and doing a professional quality radio show and YouTube channel all simultaneously. DK is the guy to first do multiple 24-hour live streams on a regular basis in New Zealand. First guy to do it that I know of. And I think maybe for any topic, even. I mean, I don't know. I haven't quite done the research, but just to be able to get that much content together and to be able to stream it 24/7 and get banned like, what is it, DK, like 52 times or something like that. Anyway, we hope he gets banned more, because every time that DK gets banned, it's another badge. Like man, I'm going to need to engrave him something on a piece of wood, like like 56 badges. Banned from DLive, banned from YouTube, banned from Facebook, banned from. Has he been banned from X or anything? It's a shorter list of the things that he hasn't been banned from. Okay, now, anyway, the point... I'm digressing. The point is that one guy did that. Okay? He didn't do it without support, though. He didn't do it without help, though. He didn't do it without an audience, though. Okay? It was one guy who had the motivation to do something that the universe just said, okay, we'll test you. How much do you want to do this? Ban you, ban you, ban you. You still want to do this? Yep. Ban you, ban you, ban you. You still want to do this? Yep. Ban, ban, ban. You see, when you don't give up. The universe respects you, and so do other people. And other people often act for the universe in your life, kind of thing. You know, they might give you a word in your ear, they might give you a donation at the right time, or whatever it is. And that's just so that you can keep going. All right? You don't necessarily have to change what you're doing. The question is, do you want to give up what you're doing? Are you a quitter? You know? A lot of people talk about this concept of quitting their job and starting the thing in the truth movement. That's what I did. And I had to get part-time jobs, you know, in the early days to be able to support this. And it was a huge struggle for first 5-6 years, I think, before things started to plateau and I was able to really do it for full time. And that represents, you know, many, many thousands of hours of work. One guy doing that with help here or there from people, words of encouragement and support. So everybody contributes to what one guy can do. And that's why I call it collaboration, because we are all co-creating something. Even now in the chat room, there's a separate show going. Okay, and it's taking the narrative in other directions, and people are suggesting things and making all new influences and things of that nature. We're making the show together. It's not just me talking to nothing about nothing. You're important people, and all of these things are very important concepts, which I'm sure many of you have already digested and are already in your own way doing a little something about it, about this world. Think about all those problems, man. You think about like listing them alphabetically. The acidification of the soil and the oceans. The climate change agenda has been inserted into freaking everything. We got one of those first learning encyclopedia books for the boy, and it's about, you know, the earth and such and blah blah blah, and has all these factoids about practically everything, the continents, peoples, and practices, and such and blah blah blah. And almost on every page it says something about, oh, the climate, you know, blah blah blah. These little brainwashing factoids to make children afraid of their carbon footprint and to be kind of self-hating and what have you, and preferring genocide over freedom. You know, those kind of things that they do to children on a very early, deep indoctrinational level. It kind of gets to you as a parent because, you know, man, I've got to actually sit down here and rewrite this or correct it or something like that. I can't just allow my child to absorb this unchallenged. They need to see one side, the truth. You know, people say, oh, you just need to look at both sides. No, you don't. You need to look at the truth. Sometimes you need to look at the lies and the truth in order to figure out which the truth is. But after doing it for quite some time, you just have an instinct about things. And you could just, first instinct off the top of your head's usually correct. I remember one time there was a bomb threat that got diffused in Times Square or something like that. This is after 9/11. And somebody told me about it, and I told them, no, don't worry about it. It's probably just the FBI. And it turns out it was. The FBI armed the terrorist and the bomb and all of that kind of thing. So it's just like, you know, straight off the top of my head, first thing that comes to mind, usually correct, because I'm cynical. When you're cynical, you're 90% of the time you're correct and 10% of the time you're wrong. Pleasantly surprised that you're wrong, though. You see? Why look badly about things? This is another important point here, is that when you're faced with some kind of a challenge, and this happens in your daily life, I guarantee it certainly does mine, and you're frustrated. Now, it might be because you haven't slept well. It might be because you're dehydrated. It might be because you're hungry. It might be because you haven't had your beer or your ciggy yet, something like that, and you're getting frustrated. It's because you're not slowing down, taking the time to think about, what do I need to take care of myself today? All right? If you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anybody else? Anybody else? Really? Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for yourself. All right? I get criticized sometimes, Vinny just takes care of himself. Yes. There's nobody else here to take care of me. I don't have my mum, washing my clothes and folding them and stuff like that. I don't have that. So I do need to take care of myself because I know what I'm like if I don't. And you don't like it. Trust me. And I remember, man, I've said some really mean and hurtful and things across social media and even in person to people over the time because I haven't had a meal recently and I'm just very angry. I get angry when I don't eat. Hangry, it's called. And so what I do when that happens is I apologize almost immediately. Sorry, my bad, and try to make some kind of reparation. Oh, here you go, there's this, whatever. And I think I'm trying to be a good person, all right? Not a nice person, a good person. Good person may be a pain in the ass sometimes, and they may even be a little bit volatile. But they take responsibility for it, and they pay reparation for it, and they try to smooth things over as best they can, and they accept the fact that they're not perfect, right? And don't feel necessarily bad about themselves and the things that they've done all the time because they try to do something about it all the time. Especially with internet abuse. Dude, if you've got a show, if you want to start a show, and you're talking about the truth, like something that's real, factual, objective, you're gonna get trolls. Narcissistic, sadistic, psychopathic. That is the personality profile of an internet troll. What do these three groups have in common? A need for attention. Your attention. Did you read their comment? You're giving them attention. Did you reply to them? You're giving them even more. Did you get upset with them and reply to them? You're giving them the gold. This is what they want. They want to really upset you, get you to engage in some big argument. Oh, well, that's not true. I'm blah, 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 blah. No, don't do that. There is a block function for a reason. And if you are wise, the list of people you have blocked will grow and grow, ever like a flourishing garden of pure peace and serenity. Like, bro, these people suck your life energy. I remember watching a documentary called Mr. Organ, how this scumbag made a documentary about a scumbag, which I found kind of comical in the first place. So a scumbag was talking to a scumbag and then telling the audience, oh man, every time I talk to this scumbag I pay a soul tax. And I was like, soul tax? You know when somebody's like taxing on your soul, they just keep going on and on and on and they won't shut up, and you're just kind of like zoning out and you're like, and they're sucking your energy. Okay, the Celestine prophecies talked about this. When you're talking to somebody, interacting with somebody, you've got this energy flow that comes off of you. They could probably take photographs of it with Kernelian photography or some crap, I don't know. And then that creates a little ball of energy in between you and the other person. Now, the other person is either like you, and they're an energy giver, and they give energy, and the ball gets bigger, and then it starts reflecting, and it starts growing, and it starts reflecting light back, and making two people who are having a fantastic conversation feel really good by the end of that conversation. It happens on the show all the time. somebody comes on, or I go on somebody else's show, and by the end of the show, normally, I wouldn't say normally, but it's strange. Same hour of broadcasting time, sometimes more, depending on what the conversation is like. You will come off the show feeling drained and exhausted, or you will come off feeling light and energetic and happy. Okay? Very strange phenomenon, but it is nonetheless a very interesting one, because your kind of consciousness, it's interacting with the other people that you are conversing with. Okay, your energy field is interacting with them. I like to experiment with people, giving them 15-second hugs. Now, when you're hugging somebody who's 6'6" like me, you have to hug under my arms. Okay, you kind of tuck your head under my chin. I wrap my arms around you, sort of thing. You just kind of get cuddled for about 15 seconds. You know, maybe 3 or 4 breaths and that. And when they come away, they're like, you see, because you ever sharpen 2 knives together? You know, I was telling people this analogy, and I thought to myself, man, my knives in my kitchen that I cut the tomatoes with, and the celery and the carrot and all of that kind of stuff, they're not sharp, and I don't have a knife sharpener. And then I started telling people this analogy about how when you plug your energy field from your heart and your brain, you produce these twin magnetic fields, just like the Earth does with the Van Allen radiation belts. And in musicians, they call them the Van Halen radiation belt. Anyway, what they do is they recharge each other, very much in that Celestine Prophecies type method. And you come away after about 15 seconds feeling recharged, refreshed, and kind of like, it's because it affects your hormone levels getting a really good hug like that. And people ain't hugging each other enough, man. And I think it's difficult for me being separated from you, the audience. And it's so much better when it's out there in person. So that's why I've taken to going to festivals and things of that nature. I can't afford them, but people do buy me tickets to them, and I'm so grateful when they do, because when I go to a festival, when Vinny Eastwood goes to a festival, there's so many of you out there. All right, so many of my listeners go to festivals and things like that, and they say that festival goers experience a lot less depression than the general population. I think this is probably true. And I think it feels good, because I was going to some of these festivals, and I can't walk around 50 meters without somebody saying, "Hey, Vinny," and coming out and giving me a hug, or having a conversation about something. And there are all these interesting people who've got resources and so on and so forth. And they're kind of like prepared, you know, like they've got themselves together. They've got what they need. And at a festival, that's great to have people like that, so you don't have people like coming around scabbing left, right, and centre who contribute almost nothing to anybody, right? You all know people like that, and they're a pain in the ass, aren't they? But anyway, I found that after the festival, like just being in person and actually being able to talk to the people who listen to my show and what have you, and what the show actually means to them, does make me feel better about doing it. Much more so than just sitting in the office under the lights and doing all of this kind of thing. So maybe the Vinny Eastwood show needs to go on the road. I gotta figure out how to do that. It's a pain, isn't it? Electricity and everything. Studios are just such a fabulous thing. They're so easy to, you know, man, I can get into the studio unprepared, right? Have to set everything up. 3 streams plus a radio stream and video with a guest on the Skype and everything, and I can set that up in about 7 minutes if I'm rushed. 7 minutes. That's a setup. Okay, that's been honed over a long period of time. So if you guys are interested and you want to learn how to do all of these things, how to broadcast, how to edit, how to create your website, how to do the social media thing, how to have live streaming software working, how to create simple memes and so on and so forth. It's a huge skill tree. And if you try to explain how they all work at once, it's too much. But if you just do it one thing at a time, it's much easier. And then you see how they all fit together. You ever watch a movie with somebody and that person is like, oh, why is that character there? Oh, why did they say that? Oh, what's that object they're carrying? You know, that kind of thing. It's like, it's a movie, darling. Okay? They will tell you. You know, some people are so caught up in asking questions that they're not listening to the story, you know, and that seems fruitless to me. And so if you do need a little bit of help, if you haven't started yet, or if you have started and you don't know what the next thing to do is, or you're thinking about, you know, green screening or starting live streaming software or whatever, just give us a ring. Okay, go to the donate page of the Vinny Eastwood Show.com, make a small donation, and then just send me an email or a text message or a Skype message or something like that with the keyword donor. And if you want to have the lessons and things of that nature, we'll organise a time. We'll get on a call with you, and it'll just be like Vinny Eastwood and you having a conversation, and me saying point at this and click at that and fill this in and what have you. This is one of the services that I offer for people who want to get off the ground, and also for people who are already off the ground but don't know what to do next or what is actually possible. Because there's a lot of people, I remember Billy TK was unable to do proper live streams and things of that nature. He was only able to do liveys on Facebook, and now I've got him with all sorts of gear decked out and lots of technical issues being solved there, plenty of phone calls and what have you. And it was very difficult for him when we were under the bail conditions that we couldn't talk. I think I couldn't talk to Billy for over a year. That was so hard, man. It was like when you got your mate and you can't talk to him. So yeah, he had some terrible technical issues that needed sorted out when he came back, you know, and I'm all too happy to help people who help me. So anybody who makes a donation to the Vinny Eastwood Show is entitled to the service, you know. I'll just give you some advice or show you what to do with one thing or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to like pay me what it's worth and what have you. Just pay me what it's worth to you. And if you get at the end of an hour and you're like, man, that's worth $200 US, that's what it's worth. All right. In terms of market value, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, minute for minute, what I can get you ready with in a short amount of time, yeah, it's probably worth that on the open market. So please go to thevinnieeastwoodshow.com. That's Vinny with a Y because it's the most important question. And Eastwood, like, go ahead, make my news. And if you've already donated, on the homepage it says click here for your special rewards. All right, that's when we get the messages and things like that for you after you've made a donation there. So now this includes other talk radio show hosts and other YouTubers and anybody in the Freedom community. If you do want to just take your shows to the next level, and I mean, I've got it to a pretty reasonable level. It's by no means like the best show in the world and what have you, but it's fairly simple and it's easy to operate for a one-man operation, and which is what most people, I think, are doing at the end of the day, because it's impossible to infiltrate a one-man operation. You see, back in the day there used to be 800 media companies in the United States, and now there's like, what, 3? putting out the bulk of the information. So we need to microtize it and be able to do it by yourself, and also monetize it as well, so that when you are doing that work, people can donate to you and give you a hand. So thanks, guys, so much for joining in on the show today about how to solve New Zealand and the world's problems. I'm not sure if we quite got there yet. We went for a bit of a rant, but nonetheless, thank you very much, ladies, gentlemen, and hermaphrodites, my fellow slaves of the global plantation. The Vinny Eastwood Show is bad news. It's like the news, but so much worse. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show. We're the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists. It's Vinny's jokes.